Welcome to the Starter Girlz podcast. You are here with Amy Lafitte
and Jennifer Loading.
And we are so excited that you are with us. So whether you are starting a project, starting a business, starting a brand, or starting a movement, we are here to talk about it. And it is the last day of 2019, the last day of the tens decade. Is that a thing? We're about to launch into 2020. And I'm so excited to be here with my partner in crime, Jennifer Loading. We are going to be Starter Girlz Gone Wild today as we talk about all sorts of fun topics and talk about what we have planned for the new year and give you guys some really awesome tools. But first off, Jennifer, I think I'm going to let you lead in with our top 3.
Yeah, let's do it. So we are super excited about this podcast. We do not have a guest here. We get to do whatever we want on this show today. So you guys are going to get to hear Amy and Jennifer talking about all kinds of fun stuff and just having fun and just having a great time.
That's awesome.
So we need to do our Starter Girlz weekly top 3. And so this week we decided what would be really fun since we're moving into 2020 and we're going to be talking about resolutions and all of that good stuff, that it would be fun to talk about what we learned this past year, our top 3 things that we learned. And so do you want me to start this off today?
You can. I love it.
All right. So my number 3 that I thought would be good that I've actually learned this year was to be mindful of my emotions and not let others rent space in Jennifer's head. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. The other thing was that nobody cares about your imperfections as much as you.
That's so true.
Right?
They don't even see it.
No. We're so critical of ourselves, and you know, and we think everybody else notices these little things that we notice, and most people really don't even notice them.
They're too busy thinking about themselves.
Exactly. And then I would say my number 1 thing that I learned this year would be to focus on what I really want and to stop overthinking, right? Because so many times we stop doing things or don't start things because we're hung up on little things and we just don't even start. So really just focusing on big picture and not overthinking the process.
And you really did that this year. I mean, you and I were talking a little bit before we got on live here, but launching a podcast, writing a book and launching it. I mean, this has been kind of like one of those epic years, I feel.
It has been a big year. It has been a big year, exciting year. A lot of things learned over the year, and some all good. But I put a post up the other day and I was saying I've had trials, errors, fails, wins, mostly wins. And they've been good, and but just a lot of things that I've learned over this past year that have really been great tools to help me go into 2020.
Yeah.
Super excited about that. So what would you say your top 3 are?
So this has been kind of a weird transition year for me. I've always been a hard charger, going after big goals and big dreams, and I just found myself in a season where I was stepping back from some projects I had been doing and kind of just recalibrating and figure out what do I really want. And it's funny when you said focus on what you really want. And so I have a vague idea of what I want, but when I stopped back and some of the projects I'd really focused on for many years kind of just fell by the wayside, I had that moment of okay, I don't just want to go after something I'm excited about or this is fun or whatever. I'm at a season of my life where I only get so many more years and whatever. So I really wanted to make them count, and so I thought I want to figure out what I really want, really, really want, and then let's focus on that because you will achieve it. And I can't wait to get into some of the tools that we're going to talk about on how to achieve those goals. But no matter how big it is, no matter how big and scary it seems to you, it really is doable. So I think for me this year, one of my big takeaways was to slow down, to really slow down and take that time to figure out what was really important to me. And even I was in a season of sort of healing just from always being type A, balls to the wall, just going after stuff. And I've done that where I've been really going after goals for 2 years, and so it's nice for my adrenals and
sure. Sure.
So all that. So that was really good. The second thing is kind of crazy. If you know anything about me, you'll be like so surprised to hear me say this. But I'm going to say to listen to my husband. I love it. And if you're like, oh, she's like so submissive or whatever, like I'm really not that person. In fact, I think that's why this is even a conversation, because I'm normally very headstrong and I hate authority and I do my own thing. And so even though my husband is supposed to be like my lover and friend, like, somehow in the power balance, they end up becoming like authority, and so then you want to like rebel against them. But like I really realized this very year, like I've had many conversations with him, and while I was in my balls to the wall, like running after big goals season, I realized that like he would say things to me and I'd be like, oh, okay, and then I would go do whatever I was gonna do. It was like, I didn't even listen to him, to be honest. And I also didn't take the time to like process that like what he was saying was like probably good or valid. And a lot of crap has like gone down this year.
Hilarious. Oh my goodness.
It has been like, and he's really nice. He's not like super bad about it, but he'll be like, remember we talked about this? And he said, I saw the writing on the wall on this. I saw how this was going to go down on that. And I tried to tell you, and you didn't listen to me. And so weird enough, like, I'm like, all right, so I'm actually going to like take his advice and listen to it. Because he's super smart. Sure. He's very intuitive with things too. Obviously I'm not going to say he like has a crystal ball and can like see the future, but a lot of his intuition he is right about. Like 95% of the time, like whatever he's told me is actually come true. So I've just learned, I'm like, okay, so I'm actually going to try to listen to him.
Cute.
Imagine that. I know. And then the third, like for me, was like, because I was in this season of kind of reconfiguring and redoing and deconstructing and reconstructing, how many boxes I still have myself in. Like, it is so crazy to realize, like, how many ways you pigeonhole yourself and don't even know it. Like, can be an entrepreneur it'll be 15 years for me in January. Totally free thinker, totally free spirit, and yet how have I still put myself, in fact, even by me describing myself those ways, those are boxes. It's just so crazy. Right. And then because you define yourself that way, then it holds you back from doing other things, because now you've put yourself in this descriptive situation.
Sure.
It's crazy.
That's a subject I want to say I talk about in my book is label. How we do that. We label ourselves with certain these ideas, and I think those are those conclusions that we've drawn up about ourselves, and we forever put ourselves in these tags, and they're there, and no matter how hard you try to work around them, they're hard. They're difficult. You have to learn to sneak around those things. So I think we all wrestle with those boxes.
The boxes
from time to time, right? They hold us in there. So this is fun. We're going to have so much good stuff on here today, and that's what I love about this, is that they're going to get to hear us just really be authentic in how we think and how we operate. And so hopefully we're going to give them some good tips here too, which I think is going to be really good.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get this started. And Amy mentioned earlier that we are going to, what did we say? We're going to be Starter Girlz Gone Wild. Is that what we said? Starter Girlz Gone Wild here. So our very first topic, and so we put some things together that we wanted to share with the audience that we thought were kind of important topics. And this one is always important to me. I think this is just a funny topic, and I love talking about it, but it's so very real in the business world. And that is the booty call.
The booty call!
You're like, okay, so what is the booty call?
I would like to say first that we're both married.
Yes, we are. And we do have to, I'm going to explain this. I've got to talk a little bit about the booty call here. I just think it's funny. I call it this. I like to make fun of it because I think it's just one of those funny things. But, in business, when we're out and about, and most of us that are in a business, the way we build our business is by building relationships. And when you're dealing with a business that is on a transactional basis, that's how they operate. And so when I talk about the booty call, what I always think of is I relate business similar to dating experiences when you're going out and you're meeting people. And that's why I always crack up when they have these like speed dating.
Yes.
Speed networking. I think, so how does the speed networking, is it like the speed dating? Do they go in, they talk like, a couple seconds and they decide, okay, I like you, I don't like you, we're going to do business, I'm not going to do business?
How does that work?
Okay, I'm like, how does that work?
I guess we need to go to one.
Yeah, we need to go check that out. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, when we're out, we're building our business, we're all about building relationships with people. But the problem is so many times when you're out, especially even at networking events, you find that a lot of times people are working on a very transactional mode.
Yes.
And how does that equate to the booty call? Well, it can happen in dating too, right? We all know, we've been there where we've gone out, we met somebody, and boom, we're trying to have a hookup or whatever, and nobody's asking questions, nobody's taking the time to get to know other people. And so I think business operates the same way, right? And so, when we're out and we're going to networking events and people are coming around and they're passing cards out and they're not really taking the time to ask questions, get to know this other person, how can you offer something to them? How can they offer something to you? So I think this is a very real topic in business. It's a very real thing, and that's what we want to talk about a little bit, is being a little more relational versus transactional.
I love that. So do you have some things to do, some things not to do?
Yeah, so I kind of compiled a list of some helpful tips that I think are very good, and one of those, I want to focus a little bit first on the what not to do. I think, when you're
don't do these things, people.
Don't do these things, okay? So when you're out and about, and I say this because I'm at networking events a lot, and I know Amy frequents some too.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Passing out business cards. It's okay to give your business card out, but there's nothing like the person walking around and passing out business cards to everybody. And I have a rule on this. If I haven't had a conversation with you, I don't know you.
Like they're putting flyers on people's cars, except they're passing out their business card and giving it to a person and then keep walking. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Like I'm gonna call you and be like, hey, you gave me your card for and you didn't make eye contact with me, and you went and did it with 50 other people, but it made me feel really special.
Right. Well, not only that, I mean, in the industry there are so many, there's realtors and financial planners and insurance people. There's so many of them out there. If you're just going around passing your card, how does that make you different from anybody else? You're handing me your card and you are another farmer's agent. I know several. I used to work for a farmer's agent.
Awesome.
I know several of them. So if you hand me your farmer's insurance card, but we have had no conversation, I don't even remember you. And 9 times out of 10, I go home, I have this pile of cards. I don't look at them right away. I go back days later and I don't even remember the person.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this person? I got a name. Did I meet them? Did we have a conversation? I don't think so.
Do you ever look them up on Facebook? I do. I'm like, who is this person? Oh yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while. Well, I mean, if I have time, I might, but I just don't put a lot of energy into it. I'm probably going to toss the card. I'm just going to throw it away because we've made no connection. So
now it was a waste of paper.
Yeah, you wasted your paper on me. Don't waste your paper on me, right? Mm-hmm. I would honestly rather, when I meet somebody, maybe have a conversation and let's friend request each other.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Through Facebook or maybe on LinkedIn, somewhere where I have you in there, because I don't even really need the card.
Yeah, no,
I'm not saying they're bad. I have cards. You have cards. We have cards. I'm not, well,
lately I haven't had cards.
Amy has no cards. Jennifer has cards. Okay, my point being, I have them. But I'm okay with somebody, if we're going to, I don't know where the business relationship's going to go, but I'm okay keeping in touch with somebody. We can do those methods if that's okay. I'm okay with card. I just don't like it when I go to an event and people are just passing them out freely.
Right.
Without building any relationship. Mm-hmm. So no passing cards out. We don't like
passing cards. Not at all.
The other thing that I would say too is refrain from pitching your service to somebody immediately upon meeting them.
Yes. Yeah, please do not pitch your product or service or try to recruit me into your industry.
Yes.
The first minute you meet me, I'm so sorry, you don't know anything about me. I mean, it is funny because we are keto and there's certain products that people try to pitch us, and I'm like, if you talk to me for 5 seconds, you'd be like, oh no, I don't need that.
The pitching. I mean, I really feel like, when you're coming at somebody and you're immediately going into that, again, it gets you back to how are you different from somebody else in that industry. Mm-hmm. And if you've already done that, I'm immediately turned off. I'm just done.
I know.
I'm done. So, refrain from pitching, I think, would be huge. And the other thing that it just led me to thinking about would also be even through Facebook, the candid spam. Okay, and Amy knows I've been known to do this. I'll get a spam in my Facebook and I screenshot it and I don't post it anywhere. Nobody's going to see it. Only Amy. And it'll get a big pencil written on it called the booty call.
Oh, yeah. She does. She'll send me these little screenshots that say booty call because it's people that, again, don't have any relationship with her and they're already starting. It's the same thing. They're already pitching her.
Yeah. They will. Well, and I've even had it, on my birthday when it rolled around in November. I talked about this, that I would have people that would send me a birthday message. Like I woke up and I had a ton of instant messengers. I got a lot of instant messages. I have a lot of people in my friend list there.
Yeah.
So I had a lot in there. And they would send me messages, and then they would turn around sometimes in the message and try to pitch me product within the message, the birthday message. And I'm like, yeah.
Happy birthday. Oh, by the way, like if you would like to try exogenous ketones, we can help you. Or,
Yes.
And no, I'm not saying that about any company.
No,
I'm just
no.
using that because that randomly popped into my head. Seriously?
Yes, I did get some of those.
Like, no, like happy birthday and you said thanks and then they did it?
No.
No, like with it, happy birthday, by the way, like I want to talk to you about my product.
Yes, yes. And
I'm so offended.
Yeah, yeah. They were, well, those were, that was.
Like, unfriend.
Yeah, those were like, I try not to make anybody feel bad. I just say these are things that if you're doing them, they're probably not the best way to conduct business. I don't ever want to try to make anybody feel bad because I feel like we've all been there, and I feel like we learn. And a lot of people, I think they just do the best that they can with what they have, from where they are. And so hopefully these are things that, we say this to them. It's like, we're telling you this, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to serve you well in your business. This is not things you want to do.
Correct.
So what are some great things you can do?
Ooh, so
this
let's
one's
talk about those.
So what are some great things you can do? You can,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
yeah, do that one.
Yeah, we can ask questions, right?
Yes.
Ask questions. Mm-hmm. And what kind of questions would you be asking? What would you think of?
Well, you talked about the frog example, so which is family and friends, and then I don't know all of them.
It's family, recreation, occupation, and goals. I actually learned that in a networking group from a friend.
Yes. Because
we were learning a different acronym. I could not remember it.
Yeah.
And so he told me this, and I was like, I can remember the frog.
It's
family,
so
recreation,
crazy.
occupation, goals.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, and I was actually just in Las Vegas at an event, and Harvey McKay was there, and he's this famous, amazing author. And he had a guy stand up. Now, you can't do this in a networking group because you're meeting people for the first time. But, like, let's say you are going to do business with somebody and you have a chance ahead of time to go do research on them. Do some research. And it was crazy because Harvey McKay knew this one guy. It was like a friend of a friend. And so he had the guy stand up. And he's like, this is what I know about him. And he starts rattling off. I'm not kidding you guys. Like, it was like a 5-minute long presentation of like all the things he knew about their family, where he grew up, where he went to college, his wife, what they like to do, what their kids do, why they live where they live. I mean, and I don't know how he even found all this out. I'm sure this is some Facebook stalking and some other stuff. But like, think about it. Like, if you walked in to do business with somebody you don't know super duper well, and you took some time to jump on their Facebook, and you were able to know, every member of their family, you were able to know their pets' names, you were able to know, what they love. It doesn't take that long, honestly, to even do it. I mean, the amount of stuff that he knew was like super in depth. And then crazily enough, at the very end of the presentation, he goes, by the way, this to me is considered surface level knowledge. So like, wow. Yeah. Like, whatever Harvey wanted to sell this man, the guy was crying. A man, men don't cry.
Right.
He started crying because he couldn't believe like the intimate details that this guy who'd never met him knew about him. And so that to me is like,
Well, and I'm going to add to that. I think that is amazing because I would say think about this. If you're going to hire somebody to come into your business, right? Mm-hmm. And you want this person, wouldn't you take the time to find out every single thing you could about this person to get to know them? And so this is what I always say too. If you really want to do something with somebody, I don't know what that is, business, whatever, take the time to find out. And that would even go so far as to say, go back to Facebook, like when you're working through Facebook, because the social media industry is so big now, and we're doing a lot of connecting through Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If you're pitching me your product and you don't know that I'm in health and wellness and that I am a motivator and I've written a book and I have a podcast, and you're pitching me something and you don't know those things that are pretty much evident, you didn't take the time to check anything out. So now you basically just tried to sell me something and you didn't even research anything. Yeah. So I think there is incredible power in that surface level, whatever you just called it, the surface level information, learning about people. And how are you going to do that? Yeah, get in there and look up their profiles if you need to. Ask questions. Find out before you start getting in there. Because that's where, which gets into my next thing, that's where you're going to find out where the need is. Mm-hmm. Okay? And that's what I love about even networking, is because when you're out meeting people, you don't really know how you're going to help somebody until you find out more about them.
Right.
It may be your product. It may be you connecting them to somebody. Maybe they lead you to something. You never know, but you'll never reach that level until you find out what you need to know. And that comes from questioning. Right?
It does. It does. And I mean, I think people love when you can ask them more about themselves. I mean, that's what they want to know. It's going to build rapport. You're going to be able just to get to know them on a much deeper surface. And the other thing I would say is on the flip side of that as well, which I can be guilty of, you need to be showing more of yourself in a more interesting way. So, I mean, you and I both are health coaches, among other things. And so obviously, like, we both have very powerful stories about where we got medically to why this is a passion of ours. And I think that's something you could definitely talk about. But also, like, I love sharing with people that, like, I went to college for being a jazz singer, you know, and I'm not a jazz singer now. I mean, I guess I can still sing, but I mean, I don't go gig and stuff.
You should sing.
Right? So, but I mean, like, just different. What are the cool things about you that people, they will remember you by? Because you need them to remember you. Again, like, when they're going through those business cards,
Right.
like, how are they going to remember who you are? Like,
Right.
if you told them some really cool, compelling story and actually were interested in them and had something interesting about yourself to share, they will not forget you.
Well, and that reminds me, just like the other day when we went to the Yard House, and that was like, we went there 2 weeks earlier. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks earlier, and we were doing our candid video for our podcast, right?
The bartender.
Yes, and then we walk in there, and the bartender remembered our beverages, like remembered the specific beverage. And we were laughing about that. I'm like, wow, he has a good memory. No, and I think it was because we left an impression there, you know what I mean?
It was on both sides.
Yes.
He definitely is very good at his job.
Exactly.
He said that's what he does full time.
Exactly.
So,
But the point when you say, you know, let people know about you, I think that's where the being authentic and being a unicorn comes in. You want to make people remember you, what sets you apart. They need to know some interesting things about. There has to be something that is going to resonate with people so that when they walk away, they know who you are. You know what I mean? And that's, I think that comes from just, you know, really digging in and finding out what is your message that you want to give to people, but not just pitching your product. It has to be your passion, your story. But the other thing I'll say too is that I think when you're excited, you're truly excited about what you do, I think that comes across and people feel that passion. Like, you know, I had somebody the other day and that was reading a post, like reading a message that I was typing, and she wrote me back and she said, I could feel your excitement in the message.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So, yeah, it was funny. I was reading back like, what did I write in there? That was pretty funny. But I think when you're passionate about things, people like that. And it really doesn't even always matter how great your product is or how great you are. It's really about how excited you are.
It really is. It's so much more of that than anything else. It's all about passion and excitement. I mean, think about it, like, when you're happy and you're excited, everybody is gravitating towards you. Think about your depressed, sad friends. Like, do you even want to, like, reply back to them? Like, no offense to any of right? I mean, and we've all been that. We've been both of those people, you know? And so, yeah, like, people want to be attracted to excitement, positivity, people that are doing well, success. I mean, of course. So if you can exude that, you're going to already have way more people attracted to you. And Jennifer and I, we're like loud and excited when we go to networking groups and stuff like that. And everybody knows who we are. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where they're like, well, I mean, we've had people even walk over and be like, well, I had to kind of see what was going on over here because there's like a lot of like good energy. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, we're having a good time. Come hang out with us. We're holding court, you know?
We do have fun. We do have fun. So anyway, so I love this topic, and it's one of those things that weighs heavy on me because I feel like so many people don't really understand the whole working on being relational versus transactional. I think that we're taught in the sales world and in I guess maybe just in general that we have to hit numbers and goals and quotas, and you do to make money. You do have to have goals and all those things, but I do think when you focus so much on that, remove the people element out of it, it becomes a job. You don't like what you're doing, and it shows. It comes across in how you're meeting people, how you're working with them and engaging.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Well, good. Well, I'm super excited. Hopefully you can take that into the new year and use that as a tool. I mean, you're probably already not doing a bunch of those things, but maybe there's some additional things that you can add in to be even more genuine and relational. And so we are excited for it to be the eve of 2020. It's going to be the roaring 20s for all of us. We're about to go into a new decade, and I know all of us want to have like big things happen. I mean, imagine like what you just did in 1 year, like 10 years of like solid being on point. Like, where are all of us going to be? It's going to be really, really exciting. And so we wanted to talk specifically about your New Year's resolutions, and I really want to talk more about goals and resolutions, because I feel like New Year's resolutions, and you can even look it up in the dictionary, but it's like making a decision, and you either do it or you don't, and it's this very like resolve. It sounds like it's in cement, and like it sounds like you're either going to hit it at one point or not, and that's it. Like, that's the end of the conversation. Where goals are not that way at all. They're like a dream, a desire. It's basically a dream with a deadline, is what we used to always hear, is what a goal is, So you can have a dream, but you do need to have like a deadline, and that's different than daydreaming, like you're actually going towards something. So I wanted to give you guys, if you don't have like a place to start, of just something like 6 different things you can basically do to go from start to finish of creating not only some goals you can set for yourself, but New Year's resolutions and all that. And Jennifer, I know, is going to kind of add in with me as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is I want you to write down all of your goals. And I'm going to encourage you, if you've never done this as an exercise, this is really interesting. See if you can write down 50 goals or 50 dreams. I was encouraged to do this a couple years back, and I was shocked. I was able to get to like, I think 17. And that was more than a lot of people. Like, most people did 10. So I really encourage you to do this. And one of the things that's really interesting about this is, like, when we were kids, we had all sorts of dreams and goals.
Right.
Like, it didn't matter. Like, you could be the astronaut and, the Barbie. You could be, I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, I had crazy, crazy goals when I was little. And so I want you to get back to like being in that dreaming space, and really see like, okay, like stretch yourself. What else could you do? Like, what other countries could you go visit? What other skills could you do? And it's all about, what you may want to have, what you may want to do, what you may want to become. So all the different, we're talking about maybe material things, maybe experiences. We're talking about skill sets. We're talking about who you want to be when you walk in the door. Like, how about that? Maybe descriptions of yourself. So work on creating that list. And then for right now, really, though, I think the secret is, for number 2, is pick one goal out of those that you specifically want to work on right now. And what's interesting, too, is sometimes, like, one goal will actually hit, like, 6 or 7 goals. Like, for example, by me getting myself out of debt, now I can go visit Australia and China and da-da-da, right? So sometimes, like, that one goal, whatever you pick, is actually going to help you accomplish several of those goals. But pick the one thing you really, 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 really want to focus on. What do you really want, right? Like what Jennifer was talking about. And so that could be weight loss, debt, that could be making more money, that could be a better marriage, like that could be, giving back to your community more, like whatever. So you're going to create what that is. And then number 3 is I want you to do what they call idea soup. And I got that name from Rachel Hollis, which I think is so fun. But you're going to like literally just brainstorm, like grab a piece of paper, and like I'm just going to use weight loss or getting health better. I'm going to use this as an example throughout, because I feel like it's most people, they either want to like improve their health or weight loss, or they want to do something with money. They want to get more financially successful, debt free, whatever that looks like. So for weight loss, for idea soup, for example, you're just going to grab this piece of paper and start writing stuff down. So it could be like, I'm going to find a certain diet plan I'm going to follow. I'm going to hire a nutritionist. I'm going to work out 3 times a week. I'm going to work out 5 times a week. I'm going to increase my cardio. I'm going to hire a personal trainer. I'm going to read a book about nutrition. I mean, like, you can just, and here's the thing that's really magical about this list. You cannot judge yourself while you're writing the list. Right. So this is not one of those moments where you're like, oh, write it down if I decide if it's good. I want you to like bypass that. Like, even if it seems dumb, like eat more bananas, and you're like what? Yeah. But I'm just saying, write it down, whatever it says to do. You just write it down. You just write it down. Because you're going to go back through and you're going to edit it anyway. So some of you are like, oh, I don't know why I thought that. But weirdly enough, if you take the cap off of judgment, it will open you up into other arenas that you would not normally have thought of.
I agree. And it will also, I think, spark ideas. I think the more as you are doing this, it gets the it just helps you create more, sometimes crazy ideas, but those crazy ideas evolve into some great things like podcast.
It's so true. It's yes. I mean, literally, we were complaining after a networking event one day, and somehow we talked about this and this and this, and it led to, it'd be really cool to do a podcast. And like literally, like less than a month later.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks. Well, we had the logo within a couple weeks.
It was crazy.
We made the decision like in less than like 6 hours.
It was nuts. So we just, I mean, so you just don't know what's going to come from this kind of thing. So you're going to make your idea soup. And here's the other thing that's really kind of interesting. You can get your family involved. You can get your friends involved. If you have other like-minded people. We did this. Jennifer and I went to a seminar that was called the Dream Builders Live. And they actually had us then take our, like, what we wanted to achieve and ask 3 random strangers, and we literally like wrote down everything they said. And crazy enough, like when we went and did that, one of the guys in my group, I was talking about having my dream house and like just my life or whatever, and for whatever reason the guy said at the time, he said, you should find, because I was talking about having the dream house with my husband, and so he said, you should find some sort of business that you and your husband could do together. And I'm like, and I remember like, I was like, don't judge, because like my husband is an attorney, and I'm like in network marketing and, you know, entrepreneur and, you know, content creator, and, you know, that, so our brains are very different, our skill sets are very different. And I was like, he's nuts. But I wrote it down, and literally like it's like seed planting. So like within like 48 hours, I'm somehow talking to my husband, and he goes, you should become a mediator. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, you could go to like mediation school. You could become a mediator. I could help you with it. And I could help you with it. I was like, we could do it together. And it just felt like it was like a thing.
Right.
Like I was like, I don't even know if I want to do it, but like the fact that he said it, I'm going to go do it. And so I went and got my mediation thing. And now we're like looking at maybe doing some real estate stuff. So all of that because of an idea soup from some random guy that I literally don't know. Thank God for him. He was great. So
that's awesome.
So that's number 3. So number 4 is then once you have your idea soup, the other thing you want to do is take an inventory of your assets. This could be like physical assets. This could be your, you know, your skill set, resources that you have, and habits that you could rely on as you start. Because, you know, we always feel like when we're starting this, we're at square one. You may not be at square one. Like if Jennifer and I decide we want to get healthier this year, we're not at square one. Like we already have meal plans. We know how to meal prep. Like we know like maybe like what we want to do to exercise. We know how to increase that. You know, like we would already have kind of a place to start. And you do too. Like you're not at square one either. And what's funny is like once you have that, it already kind of gives you an extra boost of confidence. You're like, oh my gosh, like I already have this in place and this in place, and this is a good habit. And so that's really exciting. So that's number 4. Number 5 is pick 3 things from your idea soup that by accomplishing them, you're going to get closer to your goal. And something that's even more amazing about doing that is you can even create a visual roadmap of it where you have where you're starting, and like write this on a piece of paper. So you have like the start sign, you have mile 1, mile 2, mile 3, and finish. So you're starting here. You can put the date. You can do whatever you want. And the finish is, you know, like, and again, like I can't say weight loss because I could like lose a pound of water weight and be like, I lost weight.
Right.
Or somebody says, I want to be richer, and I can give you $1 and be like, okay, you're richer, go away. That's what Tony Robbins always says.
Yeah.
So you need to be specific. Like maybe it's, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, we'll just go with that. So that's going to be at the top there. And then you're going to have 3 sizable things that you can do to go towards it. You know, so maybe it's, you know, I'm going to find a meal plan that is going to help me eat healthfully. I'm going to work out 3 times a week. You know, you can just kind of create your little things. Like I've even seen it done for like books. So it's like, I'm going to find an agent. I'm going to write my outline. I'm going to submit my, you know, final copy. And then like book is done. Okay. So that's kind of something like that. So you have the visual and things you can check off, I think is very, very helpful. So, and then number 6 is you want to make space for your goals. So like, because all of us have done this, or at least I have. January 1st resolutions, here we come. Wrote them down, real excited about them. real excited. Not doing anything, but like I'm going for it.
Execution.
And like July, I'm like, I'll pull them out. I'm like, crap, I didn't do anything to it. Like, I guess I just thought if I put it out in the universe, I was gonna like lose 10 pounds and become debt free. Like, it doesn't work that way. So I want Jennifer to talk about this because she's really good about talking about like scheduling and like preparing yourself mentally, all that stuff. So
yeah, well, I would kind of expand on this a little bit just because I think a lot of times we set these goals and even though we're really excited about them, they're not really in alignment with what we're really wanting to do. So it could get a little deeper. I don't want to get into all of that. We're going to have a workshop on that. But I will say that a lot of times when we're setting these, if they're not in absolute alignment with our conclusions that we've drawn up, but also with what's important in our core values and our priorities, we are probably sabotaging ourselves, and that's why they're not happening. Mm-hmm. Okay? If they are, and you recognize and you're mindful that you have a sabotaging behavior, then this is all about discipline.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's about being mindful of what you're doing and creating the discipline, because the great thing about discipline is it will get you to do what you need to do, even when you don't feel like doing what you need to do.
Yep.
So for me, a lot of that is, checklist. I exercise every day. Do I like it? No, it's inconvenient. I say this every day. I don't like to exercise. I do it because I want to stay healthy. I do it because it's my brand. I do it because I know I should. Mm-hmm. And I do it because I like the way I feel afterwards and the health, all the health aspects of it, mm-hmm. mentally and physically. But do I like it? No. And is it inconvenient? Yes. I no longer have to write down on my checklist, Jennifer, go exercise. Jennifer just does it like she brushes her teeth. But there are things in my life that are difficult to do that I have to write down every day because I don't want to do them, and they are on my list, And so I tell people checklists are amazing because they give you a sense of completion when you're done, but also they keep you grounded on what you need to be doing. Mm-hmm. And we know that whatever we write down is probably more inclined to happen.
Yeah.
So getting things on a checklist, I think, is huge in that area. And then just reevaluating. Like, if you're looking at your goals and you're going, okay, I've got this on my list every day, I'm not doing it, something's wrong there. Mm-hmm. It's probably not really important to you. It's not aligning with your core values. Something's not right there.
That's true, because that's the whole like self-sabotage thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's so true. Well, and I'll share just like a really basic like tool. Like Jennifer and I both use spirals, and we learned that from our company. Like they literally say like write down your schedule there, write your to-do list. Like we would write everything on there, like the people we're going to call, everything. And so that's something like you will never find me and Jennifer without a spiral. Like we literally like live by them. So, exactly. But it's a great place to keep track of all that kind of stuff. So, and then just a few basic things I wanted to share as like you've got your roadmap going, you're going after your goal, you're excited. Is the other thing is you want to visit your goals daily, weekly, and monthly, because again that whole resolution thing, like I made a resolution and then like you lost the paper and forgot what your resolution was. I've done that. So you have to like you're not going to hit it unless you're like looking at it. And so having like on a daily basis, I look at like my 10 goals for my next 10 years. That was something that I actually learned from Rachel Hollis, where she literally has that, and you're working on one specific goal out of the 10 first. But you literally have 10 goals for 10 years. And so that, if you want to do that, since we're at the start of a decade, this is a great time to start. And then revisit your strategies. So you may complete your 3 and you may not be there. And don't be disheartened by that, because I think that was something for me. I thought, well, I went for it and I haven't hit it yet. So if you don't already know, like that's just the way the world works sometimes, and there isn't any one successful person that will tell you like, oh, I just did these 3 things and I was successful. Like it just doesn't work that way. And so the reality is you're going to be closer to your goal than you were before you did those 3 things. But moving forward, you may have to pivot and you may have to create a new roadmap with 3 more things. You're getting closer to the goal. It's not that it didn't work or you suck or anything. It's just one of those things. So you may go back and do another idea soup, because to be honest, now that you've done those 3 things for a while, you probably have more ideas that you didn't know, because the world has opened up, it's expanded a little bit more. You may even want to go back and revisit your old idea soup, but you want to find a few more things that you can really specifically work on. And I like the idea of 3, because you can't even if you want to work on your health, like choosing more than 3 things to focus on at a time, like you're going to get just kind of all over the place. So you kind of need to keep it simple. So,
That's right.
And then the last thing I want to share, that this is something that is a huge thing. I'll probably share it even on a Facebook Live coming up because it's massive, is the all or nothing mentality. And so we see this all the time. If I don't have, 10 hours a week to prepare for running training for a marathon, then I'm just not going to do it. Well, okay, maybe you don't have 10 hours at once, but do you have like little blocks of time? What do you have available to you? Once you take care of all your things that you have to do, where can you fit things in? And so we do this a lot. We're like, well, if I can't be the best, then I'm just not going to do it. I mean, this is such a common thing. It's the all or nothing.
Right.
And so you will not get anywhere in life. You will be very disappointed if you wait until all of the lights turn green and you are magically skilled to stand on stage like a top speaker and just do things. Like, none of these people that you respect and follow showed up that way from day one. Like, they all, in fact, like we do this in our own podcast. Like, we don't edit our podcast. We make mistakes and we just roll with it, because I want to show you guys that, like, if you're starting something, start it imperfectly. Just get it done. Just make the starting happen. That's the most important part. And so just keep that in mind for yourself. Give yourself that space, and don't say, well, I'm not going to go for this goal because I'll fail. Like, if you want to be an actor like Tom Cruise, then go take an acting class. Start doing some, like, go act on TikTok for 60 seconds at a time. Like, you can do some things that are going to help. So, but Jennifer, what else would you like to share?
I was going to say, that's great. I think that's great. And I think the thing that I always say, and you hear me say it all the time, is to do what you can with what you have from where you are right now. So if you're looking at something and you're going, I have this big goal and I need all the conditions to be right, we know they're not going to be right. We know this. And I talk about this all the time. The moment you start trying to get your ducks in a row is the minute you lose, because you can't get them in a row. They're not going to get in a row. And I don't even own ducks. I have squirrels.
And they don't ever.
And they're everywhere. I don't even try. I just like to focus on the big picture and do what I can. So if I have something that I'm trying to work on and it's really big and it's scaring me, what is the single thing I can do right now today to get me closer to that goal?
Mm-hmm.
And it may just be very minute. It might be so small that, everybody looks at that and goes, well, that's not going to do anything. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It will. Those little small things will keep adding up into monumental things. So that all or nothing mentality, get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Yes.
Do what you can with what you have from where you are right now.
Mm-hmm. So awesome.
Awesome. That's good stuff, Amy.
Thanks, girl.
That's a massive list. And we've got our papers up here. Our lists are like crazy today. That's why we keep looking at our phones and looking at our papers. I'm like, oh my goodness, we got notes everywhere. So this was good.
I know. I love it.
I love it. So last week, or actually this week, it'll be last week, yeah. Last week on Christmas Eve, we launched a podcast out with Mr. Ryan Loading. He has run, 24 100-mile races. Hopefully you caught that podcast. If you didn't, go back and listen to it.
So good.
Great podcast. But we had a listener write in and ask us some questions, and so I wanted to take a minute or two to read those and respond to those. So he had sent these to me to ask Ryan, and Ryan did write these back. We're going to get a little chuckle at this because Ryan's very short and dry, and so hopefully these will be a little fun.
I love it.
It'll be a little fun. So anyways, Darshan Shetty wrote in, he said, what would be above running priority-wise in your life, and how do you justify that ranking? Which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan's response was, as a priority, it varies a lot. Sometimes it is right with eating or sleeping. Other times it's not a priority. That depends partly on what I'm training to do and also on what else is going on in my life.
I'm glad he prioritizes your family.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
What that says to me.
Well, and we do have questions about that sometimes because there have been times when he's had this really big race and we have to go in and say, okay, just in the month of December, for example, there were all these races he was looking at, and he's like, what do we have going on for the month? And I'm like, you got a lot of races you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So it is important. All right. What will happen if you miss running for a few days? Usually people who are creatures of habit develop a loss aversion mindset over time, wherein they fear not following the routine. Ryan mentioned about dad bod. Got to catch that podcast, which is genuine fear over a longer time scale. However, I was thinking on a shorter time scale, what fears keep Ryan consistent?
That's such a good question. Okay?
So his response to that was, it's not normal for me to miss many days in a row, and I will testify that he does not miss many days. The old rule is never take more than 3 consecutive days off. I generally take 1 day of complete rest each month. I pay attention on those days as my mood can swing more than normal. So this was a tough one, I think, for him to even answer, because I don't know that he really ever takes time off. He's pretty consistent in the discipline department with that.
Well, and what's interesting is he said, like, on the day he doesn't work out, his mood is crazy. So maybe that is a little... Yeah, that's really cool.
Interesting, because you need to go run. Go run. All right, and then his other question was, does your races practices get easier over time? Like, do you face the same amount of resistance in waking up, putting your shoes on, and getting out of the door as you did when you started? My opinion on this is that it never gets easy. Curious what Ryan thinks. He says, it's not easier, but I've learned to get through the resistance most days. That resistance is always there for me.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
That is.
Incredible. Now, this is the fun question. I love this one. I've got to read this one. So, Ryan mentioned about running being like a meditation. What exactly goes in your head when you are running? What are some of your mind hacks you use to get you through tough patches on the race? Something basic to fall back on. Like the ultramarathoner Dean, I'm not sure what this, Karnazes, simplifies the tough runs by convincing himself to put one foot in front of the other. Or ultra swimmer Diana Nyad sings a line of a song repetitively in her head when the going gets tough. That would not be 99 beers, a bottle on the wall. 99 bottles, a beer on the wall.
If she's a swimmer, so like, just keep swimming.
Yeah, that's right. Just keep, exactly, right? All right, so this is where this gets hilarious.
Okay,
all right.
What does Ryan say? I want to know.
He says, I have used a few mental tricks. One is to hand the controls over to my alter ego I call Diesel.
What?
I've never heard of Diesel. This is the first
awesome.
time. That's why I had to read this. I'm like dying here. Diesel doesn't care if I can walk tomorrow or how much my body begs for merciful rest. He's a real SOB. He only goes hard. The other trick is a little less weird. I just pretend someone is chasing me who wants to kill me.
I love it.
When that doesn't work, I might pretend that I'm doing the chasing with the same macabre intentions.
Dang!
And I will say, Ryan's a really nice, gentle soul, so when I read this yesterday, I was like, what the heck is this?
This is like the dark, gritty part of his soul.
This is his diesel. The diesel. So we just found out about that yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, isn't that hilarious?
It's so
Love
funny.
it. Well, and then Darshan did ask me a question, and this is on a serious note. He says, what have you learned from Ryan, seeing him do all that he's done all these years, and how has it inspired you? So here's what I will say. Ryan picked up running about the time that I became an entrepreneur, and it's been so interesting because we, for a long time, considered these very independent sports, but we've often talked about over the years how the mindset is very similar. Different sport, same mindset.
Sure.
And so I think what's been so neat about this is watching him go through this process, starting out, the same way I did on the very small scale, and build this up with consistent effort, discipline, practice. And so, when people ask me, what have I learned? A couple things. I've learned he's incredibly disciplined, but I can't talk him in and out of things.
Well, you are his wife.
Yeah, I can talk him. I can keep him from running, I can't get him to run. So, go take off your moody. Please go run.
Yes.
Right now, and take the dog with you. All right. So he is incredibly disciplined, and he does have amazing tenacity and grit. And I joked about it. I said it in the last podcast. If you're ever stuck in a car somewhere and the gas station is within 100 miles of distance, you want him in your car. Hello.
Yeah.
He will get to the gas station, right?
Yeah.
All right. So yes, he's an incredible runner, and I'm sure he's learned a few things from me as well over the years, watching me, do things and fall. But he's incredible, and he does have a lot of tenacity and persistence and discipline.
It's so amazing.
Discipline.
I know. It was really cool to interview him and hear his stories and everything. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I would love to say, I've really enjoyed doing the podcast with you so far this year. It's been really neat, and it's exciting to see where we're already growing and the things that are happening and the people we're meeting. It's really cool. So, and Jennifer and I, we are working on a program right now that we will be doing on January 11th. If you're local to the DFW area, We are going to have, what is the name of it, Jennifer? I don't want to
Start
mess it up.
Towards Your Dream, and you want to be at this event,
Mm-hmm.
okay? We are going to deliver. We're
Yes.
going to get you fired up, excited. We're going to get you motivated so that when you walk out, you will know what your vision is, how to blueprint that thing. You will be able to work around your sabotaging behavior so that you can win.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this. This is like a really, like deep dive into some goals and dreams and things. And it's, this time of the year, I think it's really, really important. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you have goals or dreams that you're going for this year, if you even just want to have like a support system, I think that's important. They always talk about the 5 people you hang around. And so, especially if you're stepping out into something different, this could be a really good arena for you to meet some other people local to the DFW area. We do realize that we have listeners that aren't local to us. And so we are going to do a live stream specifically for out-of-towners, which will be really great. So Jennifer, tell them really quick, like if they're local, how do they have access to the event and
Absolutely.
our out-of-towners too?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have an Eventbrite page. You can find us on Facebook. If you go to the Starter Girlz Facebook page, the event is listed in there. If you cannot get to that, of course, you can reach out to us at startergirlz@yahoo.com, and we will get you signed up. You do want to get a ticket because we have limited seating.
Yes.
It is January 11th. It will start at 9:30. Doors are going to open at 9. And then we will live stream for our non-locals. If you're interested in that, please reach out to us at that startergirlz@yahoo.com. We will get you the right information. And Darshan Shetty, we want to thank you for those questions.
Yeah.
We do encourage questions. So if at any time we have a podcast, we have a guest on, or you have questions for us, please feel free. Send those to us. We will get the answers back to you.
Yes, absolutely. And also, if you're enjoying our podcast, feel free to shoot us some good stars.
Love vibes, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like we would love for you to give some comments on not only on our Facebook page, but also on any podcasting platform you're on, just so that more people can find us. As we've been out sharing what we're doing, a lot of people say this is really unique, especially, for it to be women-based and focused towards women, although we would love for everybody to listen. So yeah, please feel free to leave us comments, reviews. We love that a lot as well.
All right. Well, I think this is our final podcast for 2019.
Aww.
Yay.
Yes.
We're going to end it with our Starter Girlz mantra, and then we're going to sign out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's a great day to be brave. You are not getting any younger. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up and be amazing. Be you, do you. We want to thank our listeners. You guys take care. Have an amazing new year. Be safe. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you in 2020.
Here's to 2020. Bye.